Recording now. There we go. It has started. And welcome to our Choose Your Own Adventure webinar. We're going to have some fun with Google Slides today, but just know that whatever your district uses, you can absolutely do Choose Your Own Adventure with those. Sorry, my dog is barking. It's so distracting when she barks. It just like throws me off. But we're going to be doing it, like I said, on Google Slides, but anything I show you here can work in whatever platform you're looking to do. It's just where the connections might look a little bit different, but the framework will be the same. So if you use Keynote, you use PowerPoint, you use Bunsy, you absolutely can build these types of adventures in any of those activities as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to show you some tips and tricks, and then I'm going to show you how to build. We may not go the whole hour today. Depends. It's such a small group, depending on questions and that sort of thing. We'll see where we go. So let me go over to our Choose Your Own Adventure slide deck. I will show you how to layer your slides and how to make them a little more interactive, because it's not just your normal presentation where you might want to keep it simple and just have a few words on it. Here you're actually telling a story, or you're creating something that's going to branch out to other activities, so you can be a little bit more creative with your slides than maybe you would in general. So what I did is I chose a space theme for this one so I can have some fun with some twinkling stars. I can show you how to do all of those kind of tips and tricks as we go through. I think you all know me, so I won't spend any time here, but if you ever need anything, reach out to me. My email's on the screen, or just grab me at the end. I can throw my email in the chat. Reach out with any questions you have. I'm always here to help you out. So let's get started on Choose Your Own Adventure. So we all remember the Choose Your Own Adventure stories from back in, back when we were younger, and we would read these books, and these books were fun, right? As you got to a certain part in the story, you had a choice of which way you would go, and it would have all of these possible endings. I mean, the book that I picked here, this cover that is here, says there's 40 possible endings to your story. Think about how much branching that needs to really build a story. We're going to make one that just has a couple different branches just to kind of practice. I think we'll end up with like 12 or 13 slides, but if you think about how big a story could be if you had 40, it could be something you work on as a whole group, have different students do different parts of. It could certainly be something that, if you narrow it down, that could be done individually. It really could be done for lots of different activities. It could be a Choose Your Own Adventure that you have and the students actually go through, or it could be something that students create. Completely up to you how you want to build these Choose Your Own Adventures. So let's talk about how you create them and the basic things that you need to know when you're choosing your own adventure. First of all, you have to think about that there's always going to be choice, and choice is going to be built into whatever slide you use, so that no matter where you click, it's going to take you to different parts of the story. So if I click on the why and the what, it's going to bring me to the slides that cover that. If I click the how and the who, it's going to bring me to slides that cover those two topics. So where I choose to go will be based on what I click. You can set this up by clicking an image, by clicking words, by clicking boxes. You can choose how you design it, and I'm gonna jump in and show you how to do that in a little bit. I just want to give you some overview first. But however you want to set it up and however in depth you want it to be, you certainly can do that with these Choose Your Own Adventures. But let's start with the why. Why do we do Choose Your Own Adventures? Well, first of all, it's fun. We like them as kids when we read the books, right? It's fun to have alternate endings that students can have some fun building or exploring. When you talk about computational thinking, so we know in New York State, and you're all New York schools, we know in New York State we have new computational thinking or computer science standards, I should say, and digital fluency standards that are rolling down from the state. And we know that computer science careers is blossoming right now in our in the employment world. Right now, there's like I don't remember how many million, it's several million person deficit of people who can fill jobs versus how many kids are coming out of colleges with computer science degrees. So getting kids used to the concepts within computer science or computational thinking can open up a new career choice for them. And why are you thinking about career choices if you're doing this in first grade or fifth grade or eighth grade? It's just to show them things that are possible. And you might find that students really enjoy these, and then maybe this can lead into something else. It could just be something they love being creative, and that's where it ends too. But you're teaching them the concepts of if then. So if you click on the purple alien, it's going to take you to this part, then that part of the story is going to happen, right? So you're creating these computational thinking ideas. It's going to help them in math. It's going to help them with logic. It's going to help them with understanding how computers work and how branching works when you think about those types of activities. Perfect example would be like if you give a mouse a cookie kind of book, right? So as soon as something happens, like if you give a mouse a cookie, then this is going to happen. That's computational thinking. That's thinking about that if-then concept, right? So having your students build those is only going to help them be able to, one, tell stories better, because this really is digital storytelling. And it's also going to help them with some of those computational ideas. I mentioned storytelling. Digital storytelling is just taking that story and moving it into a digital world, but you're still going to be doing the storyboards. You're still going to have, a beginning, a middle, and an end. You're still going to have some sort of climax where something happens. Any good story has to have these parts, right? So you're still building them to use these imaginary stories. And it doesn't always have to be imaginary. It could be a true story about, an animal or something along those lines. Students can do this to talk about science concepts, where maybe they're doing food chain kind of activities. And you'll put a picture of a wolf and say, which one, when they eat this, what's going to happen? Or you put a picture of an ant, if they eat this, what's going to happen? And based on those things, they can talk about what's going to happen with them. A simple one I've seen a lot of teachers start with is like, choose your favorite flavor of ice cream, and based on whether they pick vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry, something happens. Students love to have some sort of dramatic ending for one of them, where they fall down a hill or they crash into something or whatever, because they think it's funny. But there's ways that they can really build a robust story around it. You can also use choose your own adventure. I almost said digital storytelling again. You can also use the whole idea of choose your own adventures for quiz prep. So let's say you give your students a slide deck, and on the first page, you ask them to identify whether something is a simile or metaphor. And their two choices are simile or metaphor. If they choose simile, it's going to take them out to either their next question, if that was the correct answer, or it's going to take them to a mini lesson to understand what a simile really is, and then bring them back to that question to try again if they got it wrong. Same thing with the metaphor. So you can do this as a way to organize your lessons so that students are getting that practice. So it really can differentiate for your students how they're going through and processing information. Digital fluency, kind of already covered that, and then executive function, because they're learning this if-then, consequence. It's going to help them with executive functioning. So what are they? They're branching activities, really. It's like I said, if you said which one, if you gave a sentence and you said, is it a simile or metaphor? They pick one, it branches out to a different slide within their slide deck or a different activity based on where you want them to go. It allows for a little choice. So if they're actually telling a story, they can pick which way their story goes. It does link to different parts of slides. So like I said, I'm building it in Google Slides. I'm going to show you how to do that. And they really are simple to create if you plan it out. And really the key here is using a storyboard. You have to use a storyboard to make this work. If you start from scratch and students are trying to grab which slide goes to which part, the story is going to get lost, especially if you have it be really big. So storyboarding is super important. And we know that storyboarding is important anyway. When you're building a good story and you're talking to students about the elements of storytelling, we know that using some sort of template is important. And you can use any template you want. I'm going to show you a very basic one that a coworker of mine created that I just think is just easy enough to use to really do that good storytelling. So let's talk about the how. We're going to talk about how you plan out your story and create your map. And then I'm going to show you how to use the link function to link to different slides in your presentation. And we're really going to spend a good chunk of our time together on those topics, or how to do this part. So I'm just going to skip over it for now because I'm going to show you on the next couple slides how all of those things work. But really the key here is the students should be spending the bulk of their time planning their story out, creating their storyboard and their mapping to be able to organize it. So that way when they come to Google Slides or PowerPoint or Keynote, wherever you're doing it, then it's just the dropping of the information and then designing it to make it look really engaging. But let's talk about the planning. So I mentioned basic storyboard. So on the right, what you see on your screen is a basic one that, like I said, my coworker made that I thought was great. She made it in Google Drawings. If you're not familiar with Google Drawings, I'm going to take you out there in a moment anyway. And what she did is she set up which of the slides are what. So if you look at the very top, your title and author slide, right? And then the next one is setting it up and any of the character intros that you need on slide 2. If your students need separate slides for that, split that in 2. Make slide 2 the setting, slide 3 the character, and then break it down beyond that. And then you choose how many choices. We're going to do 3 today. You might want to start the first time you do this with students with only 2. Because the more choices you add, the more layers that it becomes. But you'll see based on choice A, B, and C, it takes them to a different slide. So I've started to color code those here to be able to see the organization of what happens with each part of the story. So the red slide 4 goes into the red box for choice A. The choice B for slide 5 goes into the green box, and then again for C. Then we're adding another layer. They get to that choice A. Now they have choices D and E. So you can see how I've layered this by color. We've layered it by letter. We've layered it by number. And this helps students kind of organize their thought. And I'm going to show you one of these filled in just a moment. And then once they fill in choice A, B, and C, then they're going to go to their final parts of their story. If any of these parts need to go to another slide, they're going to add another box underneath. So it'll be slide 13, whatever needs to happen, and then continue on from there. Before I go any further, I just want to check in with you guys, see if there's any questions. Anyone have any questions on my 3 people that are here today? Oh, we're up to 6. Look at that. Awesome.
No, looks good.
We're good? Okay. Now we're really just at 4 because the 2 of them are me. Okay. Keeping going, still presenting. Okay. So let's take a look at this template. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to bring it out. This is a Google drawing. If you're unfamiliar with Google Drawings, it is part of your G Suite. It's included in that G Suite for Education package. You can always find this in your Google Drive. It's in your Waffle. And it's a way to kind of design. You can do it for timelines. You can do it like we're doing for storyboards, for labeling images. It's a great resource to kind of build on, and then you can layer it to somewhere else. So like you saw here, I created this box and then I layered it right onto my Google slide. Let's say we were doing a lesson on plant cells. I could put the cell here with the boxes that the students need to fill in. So you can use it for anything along those lines. You can save anything in a Google drawing as an image by clicking on File, and then download as either a JPEG or a PNG. Both of those are image files. You can also download it as a PDF if you'd like. Think of it like, what is it in Microsoft? The presentation one. I can't think of the name of it, but it's sort of like that Publisher, like Microsoft Publisher, where you're designing different things and you can organize them a different way. Or if you're on an iPad, it would be like Pages, where you can kind of organize things in different ways there to create these images. So here is your basic outline again that I have on here. If I decide I want to add another layer, I can drag out the bottom of my square. I can copy and paste or duplicate and move down different sections if I want to continue on and change this to like slide 13, and I can move on from there. So as you can see, the students can start to build and branch out. Whatever you typically use for storyboarding in your class can work for this. So don't feel like you need to learn a new template or use a new tool. This may be something they do on paper with a flow chart. All of those are great. I mean, I remember middle school creating flow charts all the time. That was a skill that they really worked on with us, because I had a computer class with back when you had like the iMacs or whatever they were called. They might have been IBM computers. I don't remember, but we had to create these flow charts that we would design, and you can do that any way you typically do it. Poplet is a popular one, I know, on iPads, where you can create sort of these really integrated and interesting flow charts. You can certainly do it on there. Okay, so I'm going to come back over. I'm going to click on the balloon here just to get the one I've already created. Just to save time, I already started creating the story. So we're going to do a space adventure. And then in box 2, I wrote, once upon a time, there lived an elephant and a duck. They loved to go on adventures together. One day they were sitting and having breakfast. They talked about the weather, and they talked about where to go on their next adventure. They had been to the forest, the desert, and even traveled down the Mississippi River. Where should they go on their next adventure? So then that's how I'm setting it up. That's my setting in characters, right? And you could make this a lot more intricate if you want, but this is just a basic one to kind of walk you through the process. And then for my choices, I put the moon, Saturn, and Mars because I said this is a space adventure. So I gave them 3 choices. And then from here in slide 4, they're going to go to the moon. It's going to say when they arrive at the moon, they notice large footprints. And then you give them 2 choices, follow them or go the other way. If they chose Saturn, they're going to notice a light in the distance. They're either going to walk towards it or walk the other way. If they're going to Mars, they're going to hear a strange sound. They're either going to follow it or walk away. So I'm keeping it pretty static with what's going to happen, even though I'm changing the features that you're looking at. And then we're going to continue it down here. So if they went to the moon and they decided to follow the footprints, it's going to say they followed the footprints and find their friend alligator having lunch with a friend. So then maybe that's the end of the story. Maybe they sit down and have lunch with them. Or maybe I branch it out to this last slide I have here and say they ate lunch together. Okay. Same thing with if they went the other way, the slide 8, they fall into a large hole that brings them right back to Earth. End of the story, right? And then it continues on like that. So we have all of these different things that are happening within the story. And then we know that sometimes it may not be done. So that's why I have this slide 13 here to kind of continue on with whatever part of the story I wanted to go to. So once the students, let's say this was perfect just the way it was, we're not going to bother adding the 13, even though some of the pages probably need it. And it really is a great way to end a story, to have them all come back to the same page. So I really could have 7 through 12 all end up at 13 if I wanted to. Totally up to you how you want to set up your story. All right, so let's say magic of time and saving tips. I'm going to click on Google Slide Deck that I've already started to set up with my space adventure. I'm going to walk you through some of the parts that you need. So here's my space adventure, elephant and duck go to space, and there's my name. Here's that first slide that they were talking about, and they were eating breakfast, and they've talked about the places they're going. And then instead of having them click elephant or duck because they're going together, I'm going to click here to choose the adventure. And you're going to notice when I click on that box, it takes me to another slide. This is where I'm going to pause and kind of walk you through some of that process. All right, so what I did to get to this slide, and let's see, let me click back on it. And what happens is when I click on this link, it's going to bring me to slide 3. But I'm going to undo this link for now, just so I can walk you through it. So let's say I didn't have that slide, but I know based on my branching that when they finish 2, it goes to 3. If I forget, I have it right here, right? Slide 2 goes to slide 3. So what I'm going to do is highlight the words. I'm going to click on the link icon. And then instead of putting in a link to a website or a resource, whatever you typically would do, I'm going to click on the box right under that says slides in this presentation. And then you're going to see that each of my slides has a name. And I did this on purpose, and I'm going to show you how to set that up because it's kind of important to make this easier for your students to set it up so that it names every slide. So we know that from slide 2, they're going to go to slide 3. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to link me out. All right, so let me just go to a blank slide and walk you through some of the features here. So slide 5 is supposed to be, all right, I'm going to click here just so I have the information. I'm going to make this white so I can read it, or maybe just highlight it white because I'm going to take it out in a minute anyway. Okay, so here's the information I know that I need for slide 5. And this just helps me out so I don't have to toggle between the two parts. So I know that they have to go from Saturn to slide 5. So I'm going to go back up to slide 3. I'm going to click on Saturn. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that linking that I mentioned. And again, you can link pictures, you can link images, you can link shapes, you can link words, whatever it is you want to link. So here I'm just going to have them click on Saturn. I'm going to click the link, and then I'm going to click again, slides in the presentation, and we're going to bring them to slide 5 when they arrive on Saturn. Okay. So I'm in slide 5, and what you might not have noticed up here, it's kind of dark because I set this up ahead of time. If I change this over or just highlight this white so you can see it, what I did was on each of these slides, I hid a title slide. And when you click on your format, so if I'm on my slide and I click on layout, you'll see that I have title slide, I have title and body, title in 2 columns. Any of the ones that say title, you want to use to set up your slide. And the reason for that is what it does is it creates a name for each slide as you're going through. So here I had set it up as a title and body slide. So I had this title, and then when I copied and pasted in, this is that body slide that had the information that I know I have to organize on this page. If I don't do that, if I don't use titles, it's just when I link on here. So when I link on this slide and I click through, so here, let's just do the Venus one. When I click through all of the slides in the presentation, sorry about that, it's just going to say like a slide number instead of what it says next to it. And that makes it really hard for students to know which one they should be clicking it to. Here, I'll move it up a little bit so you can see it. So I click on link, slides in this presentation. So you can see I have names after each one. If I use title slide, it will do that for me. Does it have to stay on the slide? No, I can hide it. I can make it the same color as the background. I can put an image in front of it. I can hide the fact that I have that title information on there, but it just helps me name my slides to make the organization easier. All right, so I'm on slide 5, and the word says when they arrive on Saturn, they notice a light in the distance. So what I'm going to actually do, I'm going to change that back to transparent background. I'm going to make this, maybe I'll make it white. I'm going to grab my font. So I'm clicking on where it says Arial. You know, if you click at the top where it says more fonts, you can look at all of the different fonts that are available, and you can pick any one you want to be you know, the font for this area. Normally when you're doing presentations, you like to keep the same font all the way through, but when you're telling stories and they're going to different places, it could be different based on that part of the story. It could be something spooky. It could be something more bold. You know, you can really have some fun with them when you're telling stories that way. So I'm going to actually go down. There's one I'm looking for that's kind of a spookier one, if I can find it. If I can, I'll just grab a different one. But you can grab whatever one you'd like with it. And here, let me hit cancel because I think I already have it. Yeah, I don't see it off the top of my head. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is kind of like a spooky one I wanted to show you. So you can either click the plus and make it big, or I can change the font size to be really big. And maybe this would be too hard for my students to read. I might change it out. But just so you can get the idea, you can change those different fonts. I heard a ding. Oh, here we go. So as we're going through and we're changing the font, and that one's a little hard for me to even read, so I'm going to just go back to something basic. All right, so there's my title that helped me out on my slide. Here's the words that they're going to read. So now my two choices are walk toward it or walk the other way. Now I need to have a picture of Saturn here, right? And I need to have duck and elephant on here because they're the characters of my story. So I need to set up my setting first anyway as we're going through. Hi, Stephanie, welcome. So I'm going to grab this picture of Saturn here. I'm going to copy. So I hit Control C on my computer. I'm going to hit Control V to move Saturn on here. I'm going to make it really big. All right. Maybe even bigger. Because they're going to be standing on it, right? So I want to make it as big as I can get it. So we're just looking at a part of it here. All right. Then I'm going to grab my elephant and my duck. So I'm going to hit copy. Paste. I'm going to make it much smaller. I'm going to grab my duck, copy, Command V or Control V is paste, make them smaller. I've got them here. They're hanging out on Saturn. They're going to notice a light in the distance. So now I need to find some sort of light that's going off in the distance. And I want to show you just a fun way to kind of add in those lights. So I'm going to actually go out to Google. I'm not going to use the search within. The search within is way better because you know that it's images that don't have some sort of copyright attached to them, but I'm only going to be using a part of an image. I'm going to be using it for educational use. I feel like I fit within that fair use kind of idea. So I'm going to Google bright light, and I'm going to click on images. I'm going to go to tools, type, and I'm going to go to GIF because I want to give it a little motion. And then I'm going to look at them and decide what I want. So that's not really, I want to light off in the distance. So maybe that one's not quite right that I want. And that one, oh, that one might work. All right, so what I'm going to do, let's say I really like this image. I'm going to right click on it, copy the image address, go back into my Space Adventures here. I'm going to insert image by URL, paste that link in. I'm going to click insert. Now I could have asked for a transparent image, something along those lines, but what I'm going to try and do and see if this works is I'm going to layer this one behind Saturn. If it doesn't work, I'm going to delete, I'm going to try again. But I want to just see if I can get some of this light to kind of show up in the distance, right? So I'm going to click on arrange, order, send to back. There you go. So, you know, I might not like the fact that I can kind of see this edge on here, and I might want to play around with that a little bit more. You know, maybe I do want to find one that's transparent. So let's try that. So let's see. Actually, it's one of my choices here. So now I'm going to pick one. That one's a little crazy. Let's see. There's a bright light in the distance. So I'm going to hit copy image address, back to Space Adventure. I'm going to delete this one out if I can get to it now. And then let's try again. So insert image by URL, paste it in. I'm going to click insert. And then I'm going to layer it behind. So arrange, order, send to back. There, that works, right? So that might look a little bit better. And you can decide which one works best for you. You know, I might even want it lower, that sort of thing. You'll notice that because I arranged it, it's hard to get back to this image. You can do a couple things with your images to kind of make it easier. So I'm going to double click on my Saturn image, and you'll notice I get these little black bars. I'm going to drag these bars in, and normally it doesn't really matter because it's a transparent image anyway. But what this is going to allow me to do is have a smaller grid around it so I can grab this image again. And maybe I want to lower it a little bit. All right, and I don't know why it has a link to it, so I'm going to take that one out. Okay. So you'll see that I have this light in the background. I've got my elephant and duck here, right? They notice the light in the distance. Now I have to put two choices, walk towards it or walk the other way. Now I set up another slide where I just put these boxes, follow the footprints, go the other way. I can do the same thing on here, or what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to let the animals kind of decide what we want to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put speech bubbles over both of them to kind of help out the thought process so people can kind of choose where they want. I could also decide, you know, I got this big space over here. I'm going to, I can add like, you know, a character saying walk the other way or don't go or whatever it happens to be. But just so I can show you how speech bubbles work, I'm going to put it on the elephant and the duck. So I've got the elephant here. I'm going to add a speech bubble above them. So I'm going to click on the shape tool. I'm going to click on call outs, and I'm going to grab whatever one I'd like. And then I'm just going to click and drag it. Now, I'm one of those that loves to move the little bottom of the speech part closer to kind of their mouth. It doesn't have to. I mean, people know that's what it is. But I like to grab it and move it. So you can take that little yellow dot and you can move it any way you'd like. So it just seems like it's more above or near or anything along those lines. I can also change the order that the elephant is. If he's going to be my walk away choice, what I'm going to do is click on format. I'm going to click on size and rotation, and I'm going to flip him because I want him to be walking away. Okay. So then inside the speech bubble, I'm going to put walk the other way. All right. And again, I can change the color. So maybe I want a gradient purple in there. You know, I might want to put a thicker border around it in like a bright white or something like that. I can change the font inside by highlighting it. If I used lemon before, I might want lemon again. I can change the color to be anything I'd like it to be. I can change the order by centering it. Maybe I want an exclamation point in there, however it happens to be. Now I can really move this guy over and down near its mouth. All right, now I've got duck. He's the more adventurous of mine. I'm going to move him right up above, so it kind of looks like he's heading towards the light. And again, I'm going to add that speech bubble. So this box I'm going to get rid of in a minute. So I'm just going to grab here. Again, I'm going to click on the shape tool, the call outs. I'm going to grab the same shape. I'm going to put it down here or up here. Let's do this. This is where you start playing around with the design of it. So I'm going to put it here. Again, I'm probably going to turn the angle a little bit so it looks like it's coming towards duck. And in here, I'm going to say walk toward it. And you could change it to be anything you want. Like, let's go this way. Let's go that way. You could have it be any way you want. I'm going to highlight again, change it to my lemon font. I can make it bigger. I'm going to change this to white. Center. Oops, that's left justify. Center. I'm going to change my fill to a dark purple again, maybe a gradient, just to add some layers to it. I'm going to make a thicker border around it in a bright yellow because duck is yellow. And I can build it that way. So now the only other thing I have to do is I need to change slide where those pieces are going to go. So I know that in slide 9 is walk toward it. So I'm going to highlight those words, click on the link, click slide in presentation. I'm going down to slide 9. All right, and click apply. For walk the other way, it goes to slide 10. So again, I'm going to highlight the words, click the link, slides in this presentation, click on slide 10, and click apply. All right, so now when the students are in present on this one, if they walk toward it and they click it, it's going to go, I haven't built that slide yet, so it's going to go to a blank slide, but you'll see that I am on slide, oh yeah, they're going on to slide 8. And then again, walk the other way, they're going to slide 10. I still need to build that slide, okay? Let me show you for one that I've already done. So we click the moon. All right, here it says when they arrive on the moon, they notice large footprints. Follow the footprints or go the other way are the two choices. When they follow the footprints and find their friend alligator having lunch with a friend. I probably need to add a friend in here because there isn't one. And then the duck is saying hello, and I created a little picnic for it. All right, so this would be the end of the story. I might put a the end or going back to that main slide to add on. So let me go back and see if you have any questions. How we doing? We're all good? You mean all good if we're all good. You can type it in the chat if you don't want to talk. All good. Thank you, Jillian. Can always count on you. Okay. So what we did when we built this adventure is we have a cover page. We have the first page of our story. We've now started the moon and Saturn. We have to do Jupiter, right? Next, that was the third choice. And then they went to the moon. They went to Saturn. Now I have to do the other planet and then build the rest of the story. And the students would continue through by doing exactly what I did, grabbing different shapes. But let's talk about some of those things. So when they walk toward it, they're going to slide 9. So let me just grab slide 9 here. Now, what I might do is, again, grab Saturn, hit copy. That's why I had the link, because I hit copy. What one did we say we're going to? Slide 9. We're going to go to slide 9. I'm going to paste that in. If it keeps that link, just delete it out. So just click remove link. And I'm going to make it super big because they're walking toward a light. So they're going to go to another spot on Saturn. Come on. I'm actually going to have them land on a ring here. Maybe that's where they ended up in the story. I'm going to move it to wherever it has to be, you know, on the section here, however I want it to be. And you just keep playing till you have it exactly how you want it. So that's fine. And you know, you can go off the page with some of your images. Don't feel like you can't, because when you're in present mode, it's only going to show the part that you want. But you know that this is all workable space. So if you were doing this and the students needed some things, they can put a text box out here, you know, and say, you know, to each other, reminding themselves, don't forget to link. You could add extra images in that they can drag. Like you could have all of the images you want the students to use in their stories on a slide, so they just have to copy and paste. You can use this space all around your slides as like extra stuff that's not going to show up on your slide. It's all usable space. Now I set this up as a title and body slide again, so I do have the information up top already. So if I hit highlight, you'll see it says the light turns out to be a bus to take them home. So now I want to find a bus. All right, so I'm going to, let's go back out and grab another GIF. Let's see if we can find a bus GIF. So I'm going to put in the word bus. Maybe I'll do school bus even. All right, I'm on GIF, but I want it to be transparent. And the reason I want transparent is so it doesn't have a box around it. And then I'm going to look at it and see which one I like. That one's kind of cute. Maybe I want this one. All right, you can just pick which one you like based on whatever it is. This one's got other people in it, why not? So I'm gonna hit copy image address again. I'm gonna come back and hit insert image by URL, paste that in. I'm going to click insert. And I'm gonna put that bus out on the rings. And you know, if you decide you don't like this one and you want a different one, you can do that. You can choose it to be any way you'd like it to be. So you choose that kind of information. I still need elephant and duck, right? So I'm still going to grab them. And I'm just going to show you a little shortcut to grab more than one image at a time. What I'm going to do is, while I have this one highlighted, I'm going to click the shift and then click the duck. And now it's going to highlight both of those characters. I'm going to right click and copy, or Control C, whatever you want to do. Go back over to the other slide, Control V to bring back. It will keep them in the same order, but you still then can move them around wherever you'd like them to go. I want elephant to face back the other way, so I'm going to click on Format Options, and I'm going to flip them. All right, and then now I've got elephant and duck on that they're going to take this school bus and go for a ride, right? And maybe other things are happening on the screen. I can add twinkling stars. I can add a meteor. I can do whatever it is I want to do. I can start to design and make this pretty. All right. And if this is the end of the story, I might add a little button at the bottom that says the end and bring them back to the beginning of the story to start over. That is completely up to you. If you don't need this text box, you could just highlight it and delete it. Or I could change the layout to just be a title slide. And it'll have that information for me. All right, I'm gonna just highlight this. Highlighting my words. I'm gonna pick, let's pick a different one. Why not? Let's go with fascinate, all right? And we're gonna make it really big. It's like a retro kind of look right there. I'm gonna make it a light purple this time. Oh, and I have to unhighlight it because I highlighted it. Transparent. Okay. And then that might be the next part of the story. All right. You can add, like I said, another box. I might add something that they're saying. I might add other features. I might even put a little like smoke coming out of the bus to add another layer, however you want to do that there. Just make sure that each time they click something, so now when I click this, the duck, it's going to take me out to slide 9. That's the most important part there. All right, so I showed you that. Yep. All right, so tips and tricks. So I mentioned labeling your slides. So if I started a brand new slide deck, actually, let's even look at this one. So I'm going to grab my little alien here because I don't think I did a title slide on each of these. Let's find out. So I'm actually going to move him by shrinking him, make him small for a minute. Click the link and click slides on this presentation. So you'll notice here slide 1 has a title, but slides 2, 3, and 4 don't. If I don't use one of the title formats, when I was looking at the formats for my slides, this is what it's going to show your students, 2, 3, and 4, but without a title. Now, if they've planned their storyboard right and they've written down the numbers of the slide, not a big deal. But if they have the different parts and they haven't numbered it correctly, not having that information on this slide could become very difficult for them. So I highly recommend, like I said, to use title slides so that it shows your title versus these blank slides, okay? That's a kind of a key one that you really want to make sure your students do. You definitely want to look at labeling your slides and then planning it out first. You saw me use the transparent shapes. That's kind of important to help you out when you're designing, because if I was on this one with the elephant and the duck and I click search the web here and I just did a bus, all right, these are the types of images you're going to get, right? They're not going to be as clean and organized to be able to really design your photo. If you wanted this to become your background, not a big deal, and then you can layer the different things on it. But it's really, you know, if I put the bus there, it just looks like you stuck a photo onto the screen. Now I grabbed the GIF by going out, but I could certainly put in bus transparent right on right within the search, and I'm going to grab one and I could put another bus right on my screen, and there could be more than one bus, right? That one has movement, this one doesn't. You can choose how you want to organize it, you know, and organize it different ways. Wanted to grab this one maybe because it's coming at me. It might be a good one. Yeah, so maybe if we're looking at the Saturn's rings as some sort of roadway, you might be able to design it so it looks like it's coming off the road or something like that. So you can do different things with it, however you want to organize it. So you always want to make sure that you're doing that with your transparent shapes. Definitely want to keep it simple the first couple times you're doing these kind of activities. Like I said, stick to 1 or 2 branches just to get them used to the process, and then they can really build these robust stories as they go through. I want to give you some resources as we're kind of coming to the end of our hour today. Some sample templates. So I'm going to just click on some of these. This is a choose your own adventure template that's been preset. So if doing the storyboard is hard for your students or something they're not as comfortable with, you could always use this template that tells you where to go. And when you click on it, it's already linked for you. So you might want the students to build that way. Totally up to you. But again, I think the storyboard is easier for your students to kind of figure out. Ditch That Textbook has a whole blog about creating them in digital in Google Slides, but it walks through where you would use it. So history lessons, science lessons, math, giving, you know, bringing those story problems to life. In PE, it might be showing a game strategy, fitness, what could go right and wrong, building a recipe, those sort of things. So they give you some information, some planning documents, and some tips and tricks to edit and organize, just like I showed you. Alice Keeler does a ton with them as well. So here's a Google Slides one for you to kind of look at. She actually uses one from, I think, Eric Kurtz in his treasure hunt one, which I have here as well. Here's another sample lesson outline for you. This is a creative writing one, a little bit more in depth. So you can see that they're talking about the planning, how to make your choices, and then it goes through what you're going to do with each part of the story. Another blog post for you from Jenny Conrad, another choose your own adventure kind of idea. She talked you through a stranded one where they're going to go through different activities, but there's some math involved in it. So you can see how you can tie in math and ELA and do a nice little app smash there, or subjects math. If you want some more information, there is a quick little video on linking slides within your presentation. So if you forget how to do it there, I gave you access to another webinar I did where I actually built some of these things that you're seeing in here. So I want to give you that as well. All right, so I'm going to come back to you guys. I'm going to unshare my screen. I'm going to share this resource with you so you have it if you'd like it. Let me just make sure it's for everyone. And then if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or you can ask. It's a small group today, so if you feel comfortable asking out loud, you certainly can. Thank you, Patricia. All right, if you don't have any questions for me, I'm going to let you go a few minutes early. If you're interested in learning anything about Buncee, I have a Buncee Lunch and Learn coming up at 11:30 today. So you can always hop onto that. It's out on Twitter, the link to it. Have a great rest of your day.